In the bustling town of Olorun village, there was no food joint more famous than Mama Kemi's kitchen. Located at the heart of the bustling market square, her food joint attracted customers from far and wide. From the break of dawn till late into the night, the aroma of her food filled the air, drawing in customers like moth to a flame. People traveled from nearby villages just to get a taste of her signature dishes. Jollof rice that made taste buds dance. Egusi soup so rich it felt like a royal feast. And fried meat so tender it melted into the mouth. From taxi drivers, traders, laborers, even wealthy politicians, all found themselves drawn to her irresistible meals. Mama Kemi herself was a plump, cheerful woman in her late 40s. She always greeted her customers with a wide motherly smile and a booming laugh that could make even the saddest soul feel at home. The secret to her cooking was a mystery. Some believed she had a rare talent, others whispered of hidden spices no one else possessed. But one thing was certain, her food left you craving for more. However, no one knew that Mama Kemi's success was built on a secret so disgusting, so horrifying, that when it was exposed, the town of Olorun will never be the same again. No one could explain why Mama Kemi's food was so irresistible. The moment you took a bite, something changed within you.
Oh my God.
You craved more. Your stomach felt fuller, yet lighter at the same time. Many customers claimed her food gave them energy, made them feel stronger, and even lifted their moods. Some even whispered that it had healing powers. Strangely, even though her food was the most sought after, Mama Kemi never ran out of ingredients. Unlike other restaurant owners who struggled with food shortages and rising prices, she always had everything in abundance. People began to ask questions. How does she always have fresh ingredients? Why does her food taste different? Why did her food make people feel so different? But no one ever got an answer. Mama Kemi was a master at deflecting suspicion. There were rumors, of course. Some said she used a special spice passed down by her ancestors. Others believed she had a secret supplier. But there was also darker murmurs, talks of juju, dark magic, and rituals. Yet, no one questioned her outright. After all, who would want to risk being banned from the most delicious food in the village? Then came Ada, the girl who dared to dig deeper. At 22, Ada was desperate for work. Her parents had passed away, leaving her to fend for herself. When Mama Kemi offered her a job at the restaurant, she felt blessed. But from the first day, she noticed things that unsettled her. Mama Kemi never let anyone fetch water for cooking. She did it herself. She kept a large clay pot in the storeroom, which she alone had access to. Her cooking routine was highly secretive. No one was allowed to prepare certain ingredients. The more Ada observed, the more her curiosity turned into suspicion. One evening, after closing, Ada noticed something unusual. Mama Kemi had forgotten to lock the storeroom. Her heart pounded. This was her chance. She slipped inside. There, in the dim light, stood a large clay pot, covered with a wooden lid. A strong, pungent smell filled the air. Ada covered her nose and lifted the lid. Inside was a yellowish liquid. Her stomach twisted. She had worked in kitchens before. This was not any kind of normal ingredient. This was urine. But before she could investigate further, she heard footsteps approaching. She quickly covered the pot and slipped out. But that night, she couldn't sleep. The image of what she saw haunted her. She knew she needed to be certain. She needed evidence. But first, she needed to understand why. Why would Mama Kemi do this? Ada decided to dig deeper into Mama Kemi's past. She visited the oldest woman in the village, Iya Morenike, who had known Mama Kemi since childhood. "What do you want with Kemi's past?" the old woman asked, eyeing Ada with suspicion. "I just want to understand her. I love her a lot. I just want to know more about her," Ada lied. Morenike hesitated, then sighed. "Kemi was not always like this," she began. "When she was young, her family was cursed." Ada leaned in, intrigued. "They were poor and constantly sick. Mama Kemi's grandmother had sought a juju priest after years of poverty. The priest had given her a terrifying solution. To be rich and successful, the women in your lineage must cook with their own urine. It will bind people to your food. They will crave it like a drug. They will always return." Ada's blood ran cold. She refused at first, Morenike continued. But after years of suffering, she gave in. She started the practice, and soon her life changed. People couldn't resist her food. Money flowed in. She became the queen of the market. When Mama Kemi's grandmother passed on, she inherited the practice, and now she was feeding it to the entire village. Ada felt sick. She had to stop this. Ada could hardly breathe. Mama Kemi had built her empire on a horrific secret. Ada knew she needed proof before telling people. She needed to see her urinating into the pot herself. That night, she decided to catch Mama Kemi in the act. She hid inside the kitchen storeroom, waiting. Hours passed. Then, finally, the door creaked open. Ada peered through shadows. Mama Kemi lifted her dress and squatted over the clay pot. A slow trickle of urine filled the container. Ada clamped her mouth shut to keep from screaming. Her stomach twisted in horror. This was it, the proof she needed. At dawn, Ada rushed to the village chief. When she finished speaking, the chief's face darkened. The chief, though skeptical, agreed to investigate. "If what you say is true, Mama Kemi has defied this town." A crowd gathered as the chief, elders and village guards marched towards Mama Kemi's kitchen. Mama Kemi greeted them with her usual warm smile. But when she saw Ada standing beside the chief, her smile disappeared. "What's going on?" she asked. "We know your secret," the chief said coldly. The crowd pushed forward, eager to see what was happening. Mama Kemi's face darkened. "What secret?" She tried to deny, but the chief turned to Ada. "Show us." Ada led them to the storeroom. With shaking hands, she lifted the lid of the clay pot. A foul stench filled the air. The liquid inside was yellow and thick. The restaurant exploded into chaos. Customers ran outside, some vomiting on the streets. "You fed us your waste?" one man shouted. "You made us eat this," another woman cried, shaking with rage. Mama Kemi fell to her knees, pleading, but no one listened. They dragged her out, beating drums to summon the entire village. The once revered cook was now a woman of shame, her golden torch exposed for the horror it truly was. The village elders gathered to decide Mama Kemi's fate. Some demanded her execution, others wanted her to be beaten and driven out. In the end, the chief made his ruling. Mama Kemi was to be permanently banished from the village. Her restaurant would be burned down. A cleansing ritual would be performed to purify the land. That night, flames consumed Mama Kemi's kitchen. Her legacy, built on deception and filth, was reduced to ashes as she was led out of the village, humiliated and disgraced. She cast one final look at the village she once ruled with her food. Her secret had been her strength, but also her downfall. Months passed, but the story of Mama Kemi never faded. Some claimed to see her wandering the forest, whispering to herself. Others claim that on quiet nights, the scent of her cooking still lingered in the air, as if her spirit refused to leave. But one thing was certain: no one would ever forget the taste of Mama Kemi's deceit. Please support our growing channel by subscribing, like, and share. Tell us the most interesting part of this story for you. Love you!